The night I robbed my father was the night I stopped hating him. My dad kept a metal chest in the corner of our garage that nobody was allowed to touch. It sat there for years, covered in cobwebs, with faded red letters that said, "Do not open." When I was 8 and my brother Joel was 6, we got caught just standing near it, not touching it, just looking. Dad's face turned purple. He grabbed the thickest belt from the wall and locked us in the garage for 20 minutes. After that, we stayed far away from the chest, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. What was so important that he'd beat us just for looking? The garage was where Dad kept his tools hanging on the wall like a display. Leather belts arranged by thickness, extension cords wrapped in perfect coils, a wooden paddle he'd made himself, still stained with old brown spots. If we got anything below a B on our report cards, it meant an hour in the garage. If we talked back, the tools came out. And just to make sure we really learned our lesson, he'd spray cleaning solution on the wounds so they'd burn and sizzle while we screamed. Mom would turn up the TV and pretend nothing was happening. One night, Joel spilled juice on Dad's work papers by accident. I watched Dad's eyes go dark as he stood up from the table. Garage. Now, that session was different. Dad used everything on the wall. He told Joel he was going to beat the ADHD out of him. Joel passed out twice, and Dad dumped cold water on him to wake him up so he could keep going. I stood outside the door listening to my little brother beg for mercy while Mom vacuumed the living room. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I couldn't make myself move. Something inside me broke that night. I got a job at the grocery store and hid money in a sock under my mattress. I researched bus routes and cities where 2 teenage boys could disappear, but I needed more money than minimum wage could give me. That's when I started thinking about the chest again. The opportunity came 6 months later when Dad left for a weekend hunting trip. I shook Joel awake at midnight. "We're leaving tonight." We crept down to the garage with flashlights, and my hands were trembling as I pulled the tarp off the chest. I found a crowbar on the wall and wedged it under the lock. It took 3 tries before the metal snapped. Inside was nothing like I'd imagined. Stacks of $100 bills wrapped in rubber bands. Underneath the money was a black handgun and a box of bullets. And at the very bottom, photographs. I held one up to my flashlight and my stomach lurched. It was Dad as a kid, maybe 7 or 8 years old, with bruises covering his arms and face. Standing behind him was a man who looked like an older, meaner version of my father. His father. I grabbed all the money and stuffed it in my backpack. Joel reached for the gun, but I slapped his hand away. We're not like him. We left the gun exactly where we found it. 3 months later, my aunt tracked us down at the motel where we'd been staying. "He's gone." I gripped the phone harder. "What do you mean gone? He went into the garage 3 nights ago and didn't come out. Your mom heard screaming for hours. Then one loud bang. My legs gave out and I sat down hard on the motel bed. He left a note," she said. 5 words. I failed. I couldn't break the silence.